Hey there, folks. It's the E-Man here once again, and this time on the E-Man Show, I want to finish up Castlevania Bloodlines. As we last left off, we were at the Palace of Versailles in France. After this, of course, is the very last level. Since I'm doing this at night, I should probably say good evening, friends. And we are returning back to Castlevania. Of course, this time this is going to be, yeah. Well, of course, this is Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis. This is a reminder to anyone that's watched the other episode. Yeah, it took a little bit longer than I thought to play it, so I decided I used a password and I'm able to get right to where we were last off. And of course, I'm playing as Eric Licard with the spear. Okay, well, let's get this going. I'd like to try to finish this because it's been a while since I've been able to. But okay, here we go. Wait a minute, it's not even playing. Oh. Sorry there, folks. I wasn't sure if it was playing or not. Well, okay. Well, here we go. Oh, yeah, that weird pollen stuff. If it touches you, it reverses the controls. So all the controls are like backwards or whatnot. And then, of course, we have like some vines that will attack. There'll be some blood skeletons later on. Very interesting enemies in this game. All right, here we go. Sorry, just not really sure if you guys can hear me over the game. But anyway, what's interesting about this part when you're inside the palace is the cool lighting effect there. It's a very interesting thing for the Genesis to do because, well, of course, not many games kind of do that. It's just a little interesting tidbit. There's going to be a lot of interesting parts on the final stage, but I'm going to get ahead here. And also, I found out that I could use the Sega Genesis, the controller that comes with the Sega Genesis Mini. Since it used USB, I said, well, I'd see if it works, and it actually works. So I can play it on somewhat the original controller that this game was designed for. It makes it feel like actually playing a Genesis. Well, okay, here we go. Yeah, I didn't really think that continue was going to have me be right here. I guess I didn't know that it did that. Anyway, let's get this boss fight over with and on to the final stage here. And here we are, friends, the final stage. It's time to finally end the Countess's plans to resurrect her uncle, Count Dracula here. See the big red blood moon? Yes, it's time to finish this. Time to finish off this once and for all. Yeah. Well, here we go. Sorry. As you can see, this is like kind of a fun house. There's like mirror kind of reflections, and the whole room is weird. Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things. It's like the one last little hurrah that they try to push you into. Well, anyway, okay, let's continue on, and I will try not to keep pausing and tell you. I just wanted to point out this very unique thing that this does. Well, all right, here we go. Well, first up here is going to be the Grim Reaper, and essentially it's almost kind of like a boss rush, mini boss rush kind of thing. You got to fight a lot of the previous bosses, which they're relatively pretty easy, but and then you have to fight Death, and then next will be the Countess, and then well, I know it's spoilers or not, but she does resurrect Dracula, but obviously our two boys here are able to pretty much handle Dracula pretty easily. Well, okay. Well, anyway, here we go. raining mall chicken everywhere. Better heal up here. It appears this must be easy mode. I thought this was normal mode. Oh well. Essentially, the differences in here is easy mode may not really have much of an ending. It really just changes the ending. Because this fight was usually a lot longer. Usually you'd fight Medusa, and then you'd fight the Countess. So I guess this must be easy mode. I thought this was on normal mode, but oh well. We're going to get through the game. I guess that's just something interesting to tell you, that it's usually just a little bit of an ending. It doesn't really make much sense, but okay, here we go. On to the big dude himself, Count Dracula. want to get that looked at. I think Dracula might want to get that looked at some point. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that darn password was for easy mode. Darn it. Sega! Sega! Well, there you have it there, folks. Castlevania Bloodlines. Beaten on easy mode with Eric Lacard. Yeah. I would suggest anyone that there are some Castlevania games that were fan made. I'm not sure if you can still find it or not, but there is the Lacard Chronicles and the Lacard Chronicles 2. And of course, those take place before this, and it's like I think you play as Eric's ancestor, Ephraim Lacard. It's a pretty interesting game. It's definitely worth taking a look at. And they even have the dude that did the voice for Alucard on Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I hope to be doing a video of that really soon, I hope. I'm going to be doing a couple Castlevania games, or maybe some other games probably at some point. Yeah. Next video, I'm going to try to do a kind of new kind of opening thing so that, excuse me, you have more of a sense. I try to more personalize these videos. And I wish I could have been talking over some music or something, but I have some sound issues with this particular setup here. I think, as I said in the last video, this game was a very interesting game because there hasn't really been any other Castlevania games on a Sega system, of course, besides Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is still a pretty good game to get on the Saturn version of it. It has a few slowdown issues and a few problems, but there are a lot of extra items, an extra level, and an extra boss. And it's a little bit different. Like you can actually use Maria and stuff in it. Yeah, of course, this game was back in '94, so yeah, by our buddies Konami. I do wish maybe there would be some kind of a plan to redo this game. I've heard, of course, someone supposedly had the original, like the beta cartridge, I think, that supposedly had 2 extra levels. One was a Zeppelin level, and then I think there was going to be a gold smelting factory level or something. Ultimately, those levels, I guess, were cut from this, so that might explain why this game feels kind of short. Some people might think of this as the black sheep in the series, much like, yeah, of course, a year after this, we then got Castlevania Dracula X, which a lot of people kind of think but I think Dracula X, as I've showed in my video, is a very good game on its own. I don't think we should try to compare it and say, oh, it's just some hashed up port of a Rondo of Blood. It's trying to be a whole other game because they knew they wouldn't be able to get it over here. Yeah, because we didn't get Rondo of Blood kind of here until like the re-release of it. I like Konami as a company. I do know lately they haven't been really doing anything with games. The Castlevania series is pretty much dead. That we did get Bloodstained, which is a spiritual successor to Castlevania, but we haven't really heard if they're ever going to make another one. See, I appreciate the game, I like it, but it kind of stinks to think, oh, gee, are they going to make another one or not? I hope they do. There's Gilmore of Souls, like a mobile phone game, which I don't know why. Well, whatever, but I mean, recently Konami, of course, Konami actually bought Hudson Soft, so they actually own the rights to the mini. What was it? Yeah, what is it? Yeah, the TurboGrafx Mini. Like they have a collection of that, and they got some very good games on it. One of the interesting issues I think I have with it, maybe it feels like Konami was a little bit lazy, is there are Japanese. There's a Japanese, particular, there's a Japanese version of Snatcher from the Sega CD. I guess, there was a version on the TurboGrafx, but one of the issues is it's in Japanese. It wasn't translated. I'm like, why does the American TurboGrafx 16, when they release it here, they put a game on it and don't bother to translate it? I mean, I'm like, well, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, they could at least translate the menus because, of course, Snatcher is an RPG and you need to read what it says, and there's not even much of a hint for anyone that doesn't speak English. And I think that that's kind of a lazy thing to do, and that's a kind of a lazy kind of thing. I like the Castlevania collection that they did, but that kind of feels like there was a missed opportunity or something with it. There's a lot of other great games that weren't on it for whatever reason. Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't have Castlevania Dracula X on it, which is interesting. Of course, you can play, Castlevania Dracula X on the Wii U, you can play Rondo of Blood on the Wii or the Wii U, or, no, not the Wii U, just the Wii store. Yeah, and as now with Castlevania, you can play this on the Sega Genesis Mini, and the Castlevania collection has this as well. So this Castlevania Bloodlines has kind of been re-released and put back out there to play it. I, of course, am only playing this on my computer on the emulator because, it's the best way for me to show you footage because I don't really have a capture device. And I said, why spend $150 on a capture device when I can just use the emulator? So that's why I'm using the emulators for this. I know that maybe some bigger YouTubers might watch this and think, oh, you're one of those emulator bozos. I like the idea of emulation. I mean, I have forgotten how good it is, to have this. And it was, because I have Project 64 emulator on here, and I had gotten an N64, and I was like, I forgot that the emulation was so great, and I got a controller, a USB controller that's just like the N64 controller. Yeah, it's like, wow. Well, let's see here. Yeah. Sorry. See, it's like an N64 controller. It's even got the trigger on the bottom, so it's almost like playing an N64 in the emulator. Like, I don't have to use the 4 megabyte expansion thing, and it looks great. I don't have to spend, because it's like $150 or something to make the N64 up to RGB. Of course, there are some Castlevania games on the N64, so maybe we'll take a look like that. But I definitely do appreciate people watching these videos. I mean, I'm doing this all by myself, so it's kind of cool, just subscribe, and drop me some comments or write me an email or something. I'm hoping maybe at some time I'll get a bigger audience, perhaps. I wanted to do games that people are most interested in, and I don't think Castlevania Bloodlines gets as much love or as much appreciation as it probably should. There's a lot of great old games, and a lot of times there wasn't any good way to play these games except on emulation. I had gone through a house fire many years ago, so, I didn't have a Super Nintendo anymore, and I actually had Castlevania Dracula X as I actually bought it. I actually had a real version, unlike the version I have now, which is a Chinese kind of knockoff port. It works, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, Castlevania Dracula X has become a very valuable game and kind of hard to get. So the only way I was able to play it was on emulation. I remember looking up something about Donkey Kong, online. Wasn't even looking for emulation. All of a sudden, I saw this thing about emulation, and very interesting. It was actually the Cool ROMs. was a website that was offering emulators and ROMs, and that was like the first time I had a, you know, yeah. So I mean, I just kind of walked upon it and discovered it. I wasn't looking for it. I know the issues of pirating and whatever, but I'm not charging people money for this. And this is a way to preserve these games because at some point, and maybe another 20 years or something, a lot of these game systems and games will stop working, and then this will be the only way we can play these. I think emulation is going to be a rather important thing, and I think it still is a very important aspect here. Emulation. Yeah, sorry, folks. I should probably do a whole episode of emulation, which I should probably do to explain my views on emulation and physical play. I love physical media. I'm kind of the guy that likes all physical media or whatnot. All physical media. Yeah, I mean, I like physical media. I like being have the actual hardware to play it on, but emulation is, yeah, it's a lot easier to use, especially on a computer. You can play almost all of them. You don't need like a super high-tech computer to play. A lot of these emulators work on a normal computer, and they work in a small window on your computer so that you can do other stuff while running the emulator. And I would suggest anyone that wants to get into emulation and ROMs and stuff, make sure you have the best virus protection that you can have, because there's a lot of viruses out there, and a lot of these ROMs contain viruses, and I've been saved because of my virus protection. Make sure you have the best virus protection you can possibly have before you start into this, because my laptop was almost completely obliterated by a bunch of viruses because I was trying to download some game, and I guess I didn't have very good virus protection on my computer, on my laptop. Well, and of course, I'm using my game computer, my HP Omen computer. I might do a video to kind of show it off a little bit. He's got all the colorful lights, a cool gaming computer. It's not like, some super souped up computer, but it's the most up-to-date computer. Anyway, I guess I should probably end this. Sorry to ramble on here. Okay. And of course, as I've said, I'm still kind of new to this kind of video thing or whatever. Well, I hope to catch you guys in the next E-Man show. Hopefully I'll have a new kind of opening ready so more sense of my videos. Okay. Well, I'll catch you guys later, and I guess I should start up a new saying I have here. Yep. And remember, uh, um, and remember, keep playing these classes. Keep playing. Keep playing, and finding these classics and play them like any way you can while they're still here and while we're not getting arrested for using emulators. See you guys later. Bye.